workshop number 3 is Maru More Villalpando. I hope I pronounced that correct, Maru.
No, you didn't.
La Resistencia. Welcome.
Maru.
Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Yeah, my name is Maru Mora Villalpando. I'm going to share my screen. I hope it works. To start. All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Maru Mora Villalpando. I'm part of La Resistencia. We are a group of grassroots volunteers that we have a very clear goal. We want the detention center shut down, no excuses. We have worked for over 6 years now with people in detention. Alongside them, we don't pretend to help anyone. We don't pretend to lead anyone. We believe that the only change that we need is going to come from inside the detention center. We believe that is arrogant of us to believe that we can help anyone, because that's a really top-down way of engaging with people that are being in a cage. We don't believe in charity. We don't believe in social services. We believe in change. Social services are necessary because the capitalistic system that we live on made it necessary. It makes it in a way that keeps the status quo. And I think COVID-19 has precisely, for those that still didn't believe us, we hope that can actually see the real truth. And the truth is that capitalism survives on racism, and racism survives on charity, and survives on especially white people that don't want to acknowledge the fact that their privilege maintains the rest of us, what they call underserved or underprivileged. It's nothing but oppression. So last year, after many years of work together, we put together a very clear and intentional campaign called the Shutdown NWDC campaign. What we did is that in October, we launched a campaign at that moment with over 90 organizations endorsing the campaign. What does that mean, endorsing? Endorsing means signing on to this statement, which reads, "We believe in ending immigration detention." As such, we call for the shutdown of the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, Washington. Immigration detention has no place in Washington state or anywhere else. We believe that immigrants belong with their families and communities. It's a very simple statement, but it's very, very clear too, that there's no excuse to have cages, especially NWDC in Tacoma. By now, we have over 220 organizations. We hope that your organizations endorse. Why is this important to be clear and specify what it means to shut down NWDC? This is a picture rendered by a friend of ours of Cipriano Rios Alegría. Cipriano Rios Alegría was one of the main organizers of the first hunger strike that we supported back in March of 2014. Cipriano Rios, along with 1,200 other people, put a standstill of the Northwest Detention Center by going on hunger strike. He, along with others, were retaliated, and he was sent to the hall, what some people call solitary confinement, the hall, because he went on hunger strike. So in order for him to continue organizing, he had to start eating again and go back to general population, but he was being monitored constantly inside the detention center. So he became very creative along with others. And in order to pass the word that the resistance was continuing, both inside and outside, he came up with the idea of writing in his meal, "No more deportations," and then passing around the tray, because he was not permitted to even have paper to write, because the guards were afraid that he would pass messages to others saying, "We have to stop deportations, we have to stop detention." Cipriano Rios Alegría was deported in March of 2015 to Mexico, and he died last year of cirrhosis. He's not the first one, he won't be the last until we make something real to stop the genocide of our communities. That's what ICE does. ICE was created with the aim of getting rid of our communities, my community. This is the only agency that I know besides the military that was created clearly to destroy. They don't provide benefit to anyone but the big corporations such as Geo. They only provide benefit to those in power, but have a clear instance of or examples that we can provide of trying to get rid of our communities. And COVID-19 has shown that very clearly. Before COVID-19, we noticed very specific detention conditions in Tacoma. How we noticed that? Through every hunger strike. Hunger strikes again and again kept showing terrible food, garbage literally being given to people in detention to save money and to make money for Geo Corporation. Constant abuse by guards and by doctors, medical neglect. Remember, NWDC is supposed to be the flagship detention throughout the nation. ICE always says this is the best detention center. That's why some people say, oh no, my gosh, don't send them to Georgia because that's horrible. Well, if you compare it, you might think that. Yet, let's talk about NWDC as being the best detention center, because it's supposed to be, quote unquote, the best. Most people in detention are sick. They have medical conditions. And if they didn't have them, they will develop them. And so what we have is a constant examples of medical neglect, and people die. And the most important thing here is that ICE police themselves. ICE has no accountability. ICE runs with total impunity, along with Geo. So we have two big, one is an agency and the other one is a corporation that run rogue with all the power that we have given them, and we continue giving them by accepting the fact that they can detain people. So if you say that people need to be detained, you are pro-detention. That's exactly what's going on. You have accepted what Geo and ICE have tell you, that you should be agreeing with them that this needs to continue. No matter how colorful you want to paint the cage, it's still a cage. You can give them the best mattresses in the world. Get mattresses from a hotel, a very expensive hotel. Give them Coke every Friday with a chocolate. It's still a cage. People are removed from their communities and their families and put in a very stressful situation along with hundreds of others to live together, face an uncertain future. It's still a cage. So what we've noticed is that those conditions pre-COVID-19 really just made it more easy for ICE to show how much they don't care about human beings. So what we have is a very clear disregard for human life. This is a picture we got from a video last year when people went on hunger strike because they were constant daily reports of maggots in the food. We knew that was happening. And not only that, but rats are running around the kitchen. And you can say, well, ICE has done inspections. Yes, by Nakamoto, which is a private company they pay to say that everything is fine. And then you can say, well, the public health department has done inspections. Yes, on the phone. They call ICE and Geo and they're like, how are things? Fine. Oh, okay, great. Or they have done what they call unannounced inspections, which are really not unannounced because they show up and they're made to wait until they're ready, and then they can show the public health inspectors that everything is fine. No public health inspector has ever spoken to a person that is working in the kitchen. The public health department has said even that the reports done by the same people in detention are irrelevant. They're not truth. They're not truthful. They don't want to believe people in detention. They believe ICE, because ICE and Geo are supposedly constantly talking to the Department of Health. And what we've noticed is the Department of Health believes ICE. They don't want to believe people in detention, because if they do, then they have to do something, and the Department of Health doesn't want to do anything because they say this is a federal issue. Yet, NWDC is in the city of Tacoma. COVID-19 begins here in Washington State. We notice immediately this is going to be a hell for people in detention. We started asking public health department to intervene. They told us, stop bugging us. You're wasting my time and you're wasting everybody's time. That's how much they care about people in detention. That's how much they care about public health for people in detention and outside detention. And this is one picture of many we have received since the end of March till today that shows how you're going to keep social distance. You can say that, you know, you're going to empty the place and you're going to have less and less people. At the end of the day, these are cages. They're meant to have hundreds of people. The contract that ICE has with GEO guarantees a minimum of 800 people per day. All right. It has a maximum capacity of 1,575. Right now, this morning, somebody that works in the kitchen told us there's at least 650 people detained. There's still hundreds of them. And this is still a business. It's so much a business and it has to run as such that people detained have told us that they're made to work now more than ever. So people have $1 a day job. As you know, the Attorney General, after hunger and hunger strike happening there, finally decided to file a lawsuit against GEO because GEO is a business. And the Attorney General said, as a business, you need to put, when you put people to work, you need to put them to work for the minimum wage, not $1 a day. That lawsuit still continues till today. So it is a business. And because they have less people now and they're not getting paid as much money as they usually do with my money, by the way, I'm undocumented, I still pay taxes. You pay taxes, but I also pay them. And they pay them too. Those people in detention and their loved ones are paying taxes too. So we're all contributing to GEO making money. And so what does GEO do when they lose 1 cent? Well, they put people to work double the shift. So now, if you have a job like in the kitchen, they're forcing you to take on other jobs because there's less people. So now they want you to clean the showers, to clean the staircases, because all the efforts that we've done alongside people detained to publicize what's going on inside, now GEO and ICE are reacting. They are saying that the conditions are good, nobody's sick, everything is fine inside. And the governor is saying, well, you know, that's what they told me. And we want to remind the governor that the detention center is not, first of all, it's a business, but it's a non-essential business. And according to the governor, non-essential businesses needed to shut down. So what happened to NWDC? His AG believes it's a business. And just last month, HB 2640 was signed into law. It's a bill that was introduced by City of Tacoma that very clearly spells NWDC is not an essential business. That's what the bill says. It is a private detention center. So how come you didn't shut it down? And still he's like, well, you know, we've been in conversations with ICE and GEO, but they really don't tell us much. We're waiting for them to tell us what's going on. NWDC is the public health violation altogether, whatever way you want to look at it. We shouldn't be expecting ICE to tell us the truth because they won't. ICE is an agency built on lies. They do everything in a way that they don't want to be held accountable to anybody. They hide things all the time. They destroy records. There's the case of a hunger striker that we asked ACLU to take on. They did. And we knew there was a video of this guy being hit by a guard. Guess what? The video disappeared. Just like that. And it happens again and again and again. We ask for documents on our case, and it takes years for us, years to get some documents from ICE. Remember that when the Trump administration started, they immediately set up an agency within Homeland Security to review the records of 150,000 naturalized U.S. citizens to revoke their citizenship. They also announced that they were ready to destroy documents in regards to suicides, attempted suicides, and sexual violations and assaults happening within detention centers. So how we're gonna, do we have to wait for ICE to acknowledge what they've done? Do we have to wait for more people to die to shut it down? Because of the governor saying, stay home and stay healthy, save lives. We decided that we needed to be out there, but we did our social distancing actions. So we have done, I don't know, 5, 6 caravans already, and honking actions, being outside the detention center. And every time we're there, every time we see guards walking by with no masks, with no gloves, not keeping social distance. This is a constant. We're working with a lot of families of those detained. And let me tell you, they're not saying, please keep my relative in NWDC because there are services there. Because most of the people detained are not even from Washington. And most of the people detained don't have lawyers. And most of the people detained that have lawyers are still losing their cases. If the law worked, we wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing this workshop right now. I would be doing something else. I would be with my daughter. I would probably be doing completely different things. But the law doesn't equal justice. Legal representation doesn't mean you're going to be released. It doesn't mean you're going to win your case. The law has been used again and again and again against us. People detained are people. They're not detainees. Please stop using that word. They're people detained. We cannot give people dignity. People have their own dignity. What we have to do is to respect their dignity and their humanity by calling them people first. This is one of the car actions that families did on their own, where we ask people, please go to the detention center and post any, bring any signs or anything with any messages. So this is a message from one of those families. When is going to money stop being more important than human lives? They rather see people dying in detention than losing money. We have to be human beings. This is your chance, ICE. Because this family knows ICE has no humanity. They don't care about human beings. We cannot ask for them to touch their heart. They don't have any. That's why they're doing this job. This family is not saying, please keep my relative detained with services and with soap and paint the cage golden. They want their loved ones out. That's what they want. And that's what we should be working on. How much do we have to see, how many things we have to wait that need to happen to understand the level of emergency that we're living on? People on April 15, people detained, did an action to spell SOS with their own bodies. Tacoma News Tribune the next day published an opinion editorial that blew my mind. Tacoma News Tribune has always been on the side of ICE and GEO. They actually gave GEO Vice President of Public Relations a space on an opinion editorial a couple of years ago that was titled NWDC Misunderstood. We asked Tacoma News Tribune to publish a response to that by people detained. It didn't happen. We never had a really good coverage from Tacoma News Tribune if we compare the great coverage that they have given to GEO and ICE. And it's not until this action and all the things we have noticed that have happened with COVID-19 in jails, prisons, and detention centers that the editorial board wrote this opinion editorial saying, SOS, indeed, people should be released from the detention center. That was a huge change. And this was done by the same people detained. There are not victims. They're not expecting anyone to come and help them. They want to be released and they want to work with us alongside them. So we treat them as equals. So as that action happened, we had in our hands the third hunger strike for the third week in a row just this year. That means that in over 6 years of work now, we have supported just the hunger strikes we know, 22 hunger strikes in 6 years. There's probably been more, but at least those are the ones that we know of because people tell us we're gonna go on hunger strike or we have started a hunger strike. So again, why people go on hunger strike? Because they have no other recourse. There's no other thing they can do but to stop eating. And even then, they're retaliated against. People are placed in solitary confinement. People are forced to sign their deportation orders. Just the first hunger strike of this year, we have one of the hunger strikers that just because he had a really great lawyer, the lawyer stopped the deportation, but he was forced to sign. And we were able to get him an interview by media, how he described he was forced to sign by ICE. And because we knew this would happen and we prepped him for that, when ICE told him to sign his deportation, he said, no, this is illegal. And I said, yes, I know it's illegal. I'm not gonna force you to sign. Gio is gonna force you to sign. You're gonna go into that room and you're gonna do what they tell you. And this is a constant that we've seen since the 6 years that we've been working alongside with people detained. A huge win that we got recently was the United Nations Human Rights Commission has sent a letter to the US government and GEO in regards to the detention conditions at NWDC, but that also speak to the detention conditions in all the cages that ICE runs in the United States. The Special Rapporteur for Migration tweet about it. They did a press release and they're waiting now for the response from the United States government and from GEO to release people in detention because of the COVID-19. And this was huge, one, because we got it really fast. Second, because it's gonna be used by people in detention in their individual cases, but we're also sharing with all of those lawyers that are doing lawsuits everywhere across the nation. Last time I talked to some of those legal organizations, they said there's like 40 lawsuits across the nation, about 20 have won and the other half we've lost. Here in Tacoma, there were 3 lawsuits, 2 were lost and only 1 was won, and that one was only for 1 individual. So we need to go to every level we can and to every space we can to continue the fight. So just yesterday, we were outside the detention center. People in detention told us, come, we want to do another action. We expect to be at the yard and we want you to take pictures. By the time we're planning this in the morning, it turns out that GEO got word of what was happening. So they switched the schedule and we couldn't meet people at the yard. We were supposed to meet them in the afternoon and they were actually taken to the yard at 10 in the morning instead. Yet we still show up to the detention center. We did our honking action. Just let me remind you, in case you don't know, we never asked for permission. We don't need permission of the city, of the police, of ICE or GEO or anybody to go out there and do what we need to do. If people in detention want us there, we will be there, no matter what. We keep our social distance. We're not blocking buses because that's not what people in detention wants us to do. Some people have said, I'd rather be deported than be waiting here sitting as a sitting duck for COVID-19 to hit me. So some people are saying, I'd rather be deported. So we need to listen to people in detention. We cannot be arrogant to believe that we know best or we know better than them, that we know what they need or what they should be receiving. It's very clear people want to be released and we should work for that. Our organization is an abolitionist organization. We know that being in detention is a constant daily emergency. We cannot ignore that. That's why when we do our regular actions, we sell t-shirts. We sell every t-shirt for $20. Those $20 go to one person in detention. Well, kind of. $5 go to Access Corrections. That is the company that manages the deposits. The other $15 go to KIF, which is the company that manages the commissary. Those $15 can be used for a soup that costs you about $1.50, a soda that costs you about $1. Maybe you want to switch $5 to your phone account so you can call your loved ones. Well, that's managed by Telmate. Maybe you want to do a video visit. That will be more expensive. Maybe you want to send an email. It will cost you 50 cents for 500 characters. All managed by Telmate and gettingout.com. Everybody makes money. Everybody makes money. So when people call us and say, hey, I heard you guys do deposits for commissary, we say, yes, we'll deposit $15 to your account. But guess what? We don't want you with $15 and detained, because the $15 are not even for you. We want you in the outside free and with your loved ones. That's what we want. I heard somebody naming Amazon before. Amazon is not only a horrible company for their workers. You saw a lot of people went on a strike yesterday, but they're also in cahoots with ICE and Department of Homeland Security. They're the ones providing the cloud service to Homeland Security to keep my data and everybody in detention's data and everybody that is in the deportation proceedings data. They make tons of money of that. They make more money of the cloud services than the retail sales. And they also proactively offer the recognition software, facial recognition software, to ICE to go around and hunt down my community. And even ICE didn't ask them for that. They just offer it. It's not like they need the money, do they? They have plenty. Bezos has plenty of money to give away. So I'm gonna ask you, think about before you use Amazon again, not only for the respect that we need to have to those workers that are asking us to not cross the picket line. We're also letting you know we have a campaign called No Tech for ICE, and that includes Amazon. We have done several actions against Amazon here in the Seattle area. ICE is an agency that is sometimes it's unbelievable to think the things they do. And sometimes it's just too easy to understand how they act. We knew for years that we were being monitored by ICE. When we started our first action to shut down the detention center for a day in February 24 of 2014, we were told that some of our volunteers were told, don't do that because Gio and ICE are gonna get angry. You shouldn't be doing that. Why are you doing? No, that's a no-no. People that were with Obama and the Democrats also told us that's a no-no. Why are you going against Obama? And then we start realizing the Tacoma Police Department was talking to the Department of Homeland Security and giving a head count of our actions. And every time we had an action, there was an email from Tacoma Police Department to Department of Homeland Security. And then I noticed that in my LinkedIn, which is an app profile, I start getting hits that my profile was being seen by officials at ICE and Department of Homeland Security. So we already knew we were being monitored. We actually met with ICE in March of 2014 in their offices on 2nd Avenue. We went in, we talked to the chief counsel of ICE Seattle and a bunch of other people there, and even people from Homeland Security down in DC that were on a video call with us. And then in December of 2017, I get a notice to appear, so the deportation proceedings could start against me. We immediately knew this was a political move because ICE already knew of me and being undocumented. And it wasn't until last month that we got these emails that show direct conversation between Brian Wilcox, Natalie Asher, and Mark Johnson, all of them from ICE Seattle, top leadership of ICE Seattle, that says, well, we're gonna come after her. We wanted to come after her before, but we couldn't. Now we can because of the new administration priorities. We're gonna take away some of her cloud. In some instance, they talk about a panel that we're participating on in Tacoma, and Natalie Asher says, I wish I want to go and take these punks on, and so on and so forth. And if any people were still, I mean, most media agree with us when we came out public in January of 2018, but if anybody had any doubt, there they are. You know, they have a clear anger against us. They want to take us on. They want to get rid of us because we're successful, because we work directly with people in detention. So imagine the things and the monitoring and the retaliation we have suffered. How does that look inside NWDC, where nobody can see it, where they control everything, where they can get rid of evidence? Just think about that. but because we cannot expect ICE to do the right thing because they're not meant to do that. We have to force them. And the way we're going to force them right now is to continue pressuring the governor to do the right thing. He has to do something. He cannot say that, he has to wait for you and ICE to say whatever needs to be done. He supposed to be caring and being ready for us to be safe and be healthy in Washington. Washingtonians include people in detention. It doesn't exclude people that are in cages. And that goes along with Department of Corrections in county jails. People should be worrying about everybody, not just a few. Knowing exactly that detention centers, cages, such as jails and prisons, are even worse than cruise ships or nursing homes, where we've seen a horrible rampage of COVID-19. Just a couple of days ago, finally, ICE revealed their numbers, and there's like over 400 people with COVID-19 in different detention centers, at least 40 guards in Louisiana that also have COVID-19, at least 2 of them already died. What are we waiting for? So we're asking you, if you really believe people should not be in detention, join the shutdown coalition. Join our efforts to shut it down, not to make it pretty, not to make it pink or blue, but to shut it down. And you can join our fight by going to our website, laresistencianw.org. You can also follow us in the social media, because we're doing a lot of social distancing action. So constantly we're in social media, and you can share what we're doing. And our handle is La Resistencia NW. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're asking you, let's shut it down. Let's not just keep the status quo. Let's not do charity. Let's do a change, a complete change. This is the time to change things. This is the time where we can either let the powers that be continue in making things work for us, or we can actually make a change for the better for us. This is really up to us. This is not up to them. And if we let them get away with things, it is our fault. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maru. We have a minute or two for questions. Just briefly here.
I think the most relevant question is, are there any reports of COVID-19 infections? Because I heard Maru address some of the other questions already in the detention center.
According to ICE, no. But just this morning, we know that at least 3 people are in the hospital, or who were in the hospital, that are also detained. We know this morning that a lot of people have noticed that most of the guards are over 60. Some of them have relatives that work in hospitals or are health professionals. And since 2 days ago, they noticed that there's fewer guards working more hours. So they are doing double the shift. And they're worried that some guards are actually now sick, which that's what they've been talking about all the time. They've been saying, why do we need masks? Oh, because after the SOS action, all of a sudden, GEO show up with a bunch of masks that they change only once a week, by the way. And people in detention say, what do we need masks for if it's the guards that are coming in and out? We're here, we're not moving. They're the ones that should be wearing them, and they're not. So ICE is not gonna tell us when there's a COVID-19 positive case, because if they do, then they have to release people, because that's what the lawsuit that is starting in March said. Although we lost it, the judge said, no, because there's no COVID-19 positive cases. So if there's one, then they gonna have to start releasing a lot of people, because a lot of people there are sick. We have a huge list of people with diabetes, asthma, heart disease, cancer, you name it. So it's very unlikely that they're gonna tell us when a positive case happens.
It looks like Marilyn has a question. Can you write it in the chat?
see. We have one more question we can do. When does the GEO contract with Tacoma expire? We need to make sure that the contract is not extended.
Yes, it's expiring in 2025. So we introduced a bill this session that ended up being watered down and turned into a study for Department of Health, which we all know what it's going to end up saying. They nothing really, because they were not going to be allowed to go in and inspect. So we're going to reintroduce this bill next session to ban private prisons. So the bill is going to be to all prisons, not only in WDC. So it will prevent the contract from being renewed. So it will allow the contract to continue, but it wouldn't allow it to be renewed in 2025. So when that time comes, we're going to need your support too to move that bill and ensure that Representative House Speaker Jenkins supports the bill, because she was the one that said, I'm not so sure about this. Let's not do it this year. Let's wait till next year.
Okay, thank you. I think we had one more or so, but we'll see after the workshops. We'll try to squeeze that one in or two. So thank you very much, Maru. I appreciate it.